That's fine. Well, Kaytlin, I'm glad you could be here. Okay, you guys, today we have a special guest. I've actually wanted her on here for a while. She is a 24-year-old Pleasant Grove High School graduate, and she graduated from UVU in community health. And the reason we have Kaytlin with us today primarily is because she's a Utah Mormon girl from Pleasant Grove that is a competitive mixed martial arts fighter. And I don't know, I mean, you could probably tell from looking at her, she doesn't look like a macho type girl. I mean, she's a very girly girl. What does a macho type girl look like? Well, you know, like those girls, like a motorcycle riding girl that looks like she would.
I was just trying to put you on the spot.
Yeah, well, I don't. Yeah, well, I mean, a macho-looking girl. She looks very feminine, and so Kaytlin, you know, first of all, I mean, I guess we can get right into it. Like, you know, you definitely don't look like a stereotypical troublemaker or somebody that wants to get in fights. And so, why in the world would you ever get into mixed martial arts?
So I actually hated fighting before I got into it. I thought it was stupid. I was like, who wants to go in a cage and beat each other up? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Really? And how old were you when you first saw MMA?
I saw fighting here and there growing up, but my first mixed martial arts event I went to was my first year of college, so I think I was 19.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then after...
So it was one of those awesome events that we put on at UVU?
No, it was actually one in St. George.
Oh, it was? Oh, brother. No wonder you didn't like it.
Not your show.
Yeah.
Yeah, but after watching that, there was one chick fight on the card, and I was like, I am going to do that.
Really?
Nope, I want to train. So I started training, and it went off from there.
So wait a second. Hold on. So you went to the event thinking you hated it, and then you watched one female fight, and then all of a sudden you liked it?
Yeah.
Well, what was it that, like, triggered you to like it? I mean, it's such a huge, that's a 180.
Big turnaround.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just saw, like, the competitive, like, how it's competitive, and I'm super competitive. I grew up doing cheerleading and dancing, so I was always competing in that way.
How many cheerleaders turned fighters are there? If anybody
I've never heard one.
Anybody knows of another one, did you cheer in high school?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Cheerleader turned professional
dude. Yeah.
Cage fighter.
That's crazy. Dude, it's pretty crazy. Well, so, but cheerleading and dance, that's that's a rehearsal type thing where you're competitive, I mean, totally amongst yourselves, where you're trying to perfect a routine. There's no real, it's not even like a team sport like basketball where you're like body on body. I mean, it's totally by yourself. So what would make you think that going from sports where you're totally in your own space, nobody's invading your space and touching you, to thinking, hey, I want to risk getting punched in the face? I mean, it's such a different sport than cheerleading and dance.
I kind of just looked at it as a sport that I could get into when I was older, like, because I was 19, so I wasn't going to go anywhere, like be a professional cheerleader or anything, and I saw that end of the road with that, so I'm like, fighting, people peak when they're 30, so I'm like, I could get into it, I can be good, I can just train hard and do it.
Well, so where'd you first start? What was your first step when you said, hey, I like this, I think I want to do it? What was the first thing that you went out and did?
So, funny story. I went to some showdown fights when I moved back up here. Mm-hmm. And my dad's like, I didn't know you liked fights. And I was like, I guess I kind of do. I went to one other event. I'm like, I really want to train. He's like, whoa, I didn't know you wanted to train. I go to this gym right across the road, and...
Which gym was it?
It was University of Grappling with Ricky level.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. That's in Linden, yeah.
Yeah.
No kidding? So your dad trained over there with like Mark Brewer and Ricky Lundell.
Yeah, he wasn't there for very long, and then right after, like, we went there for like a month, and then I switched over to the pit elevated. And then,
So that's where I first met you, and you went from kind of like would show up at Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu, and then all of a sudden Kaytlin's like making huge improvements,
Yeah.
going big time.
Well, I mean, I've been punched in the face by Kaytlin, and she has no problem punching me. So, I mean, I guess you don't have any problem punching people. But, I mean, it's such a different thing for someone that grew up without, you know, that real intense competition, like physically, you know, against somebody else. How did you feel when you first, like, had your first sparring session and you knew someone else was going to be punching you back?
So my first sparring session, I actually cried afterwards. I went home and I was like, what did I get myself into? This is horrible.
This is horrible.
And then I went back the next day and just did it all
Really?
over again. Yep.
So was that with Kwame or Tandy?
Who did you first spar with?
I don't even remember his name. He was in the military. I think his name was Michael. But he, like, Superman punched me in the face super hard. And
Oh my
I
gosh.
don't think he knew it was my first time
Jeez,
sparring.
well, still, that's crazy. Well,
I actually
no,
think
but
you started training around the same time that I started training there, up at Kwame's class, and I don't think we've
that would
ever
have been like 3 years ago. So you were 19. No, you're 20.
21.
You're 24 now. So you first started training when you were how old?
I was at the end of my 19th year, so basically 20.
Okay,
Yeah,
so you've been
Alyssa.
training for like 4 years now, and so
That was when
that,
Alyssa Rant was going
Yeah.
a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
were you mostly doing striking or grappling classes?
So I was doing both, but my coaches wanted me to do just jiu-jitsu tournaments and then just Muay Thai competitions, and then finally they let me put it together.
Who
after
were
I
your
won a couple.
coaches?
Arnold Anderton, Brock Jardine at the time. Right now it's Jason Witt and Rad Martinez.
But when you first started training striking, were you mostly in Tandy's class or Kwame's class?
I was with Brock and Arnold.
Oh,
So,
really?
Yeah.
Well, so when you would do like open sparring, what class would that be in? Like where was that? Wasn't that in like the open sparring class upstairs in the boxing
Like at 4?
They
ring?
had a developmental team that I would go to.
Oh,
yeah,
I
yeah.
got you. Okay.
The 12
I
o'clock
got you.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's awesome. So the first time you sparred was against a guy.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And he didn't take it easy or anything. He just was like, I'm going to make sure this girl doesn't get the best of me. And it was your first day, and this dude just totally Superman punched you right in the face.
Yeah, well, he's seen me at the gym there before, but I just don't think he realized it was my first time actually sparring.
Yeah.
Because he saw me hitting bags and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think he thought I would be okay, but
Yeah.
I wasn't.
Did it give you a bloody nose?
No. I just shot at my confidence and all
Yeah.
my dreams and goals.
That's so awesome. All right. Well, so what, like you say you cried, like what made you go back the next day?
I've told so many people that I was going to do it, and people kind of just like laughed at me. So I
Really?
was like, I have to now. Like,
Yeah.
I can't turn around. I'm going to be a fighter. So
Yeah.
I just went back.
Well, so did your friends think, you know, Kaytlin, you're such a girly girl, you know, you are like, you know, into dance and cheerleading and like the real stereotypical, you know, feminine sports. Did they think there's no way you're ever going to stick to fighting?
No, not really. One of my best friends, she can be hard on me because she's my best friend. But like after my first fight, she's like, "You still kick like a cheerleader." And I was like, "Thanks, Maddie."
Oh man.
How do you do that? You jump up and do one of those?
Yeah, I mean, cheerleaders can kick pretty high.
Yeah.
You know, they could definitely
High
get
kick.
a good face kick.
So that's one of the things that I think is interesting is a lot of people don't realize you probably spar primarily with men most of the time, don't you? Mm-hmm. So I think that a lot of people think, oh, how could a guy ever hit a girl, or you know, how does that work in your mind? Like, obviously, you know that it's just sports and comes with the territory, but has anybody ever had a problem with that?
I think they kind of take it easy on me until I hit them really good, and then they're like, "Oh shoot!" and then they just go for it. They're like, "I don't care."
That's awesome.
But-
Well, what do your parents or what does your dad think about it now that you're doing it, or your mom and dad actually?
I don't really talk to my dad anymore, so it's kind of
Really?
awkward.
Oh, okay.
Yes, but my mom thinks she kind of hates that I do it, but she loves the attention that she gets from it.
Really? How does she get attention from it?
Everyone, oh my gosh, your daughter's the fighter. Wow.
Really?
She's like, yeah, my daughter's awesome. I'm like, it's just funny.
So she pretends like she likes it to her friends and when people talk to her, but when it's just you and her, what does she really say?
Well, whenever I tell her I have a fight, she's like, no, you don't. And she's like, gets all upset. I do.
So how many fights have you had now?
I've had 8, including 2 Muay Thai.
And
awesome.
have they all been amateur, or have you had any pro fights yet?
All amateur. I'm hoping my next one will be professional, if not the one right after that, because they might want me to take the 135 amateur belt.
Do you have a fight coming up?
No, not any contracted, but we're looking for one in
But
March.
you just barely had a fight.
Maybe you should look for one in April.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool because we could get you. We're putting together the show. You know,
For
Mike is helping to promote. As part of Riven's agreement with FitCon, we're going to help them promote the show there. So
It's
maybe
going to
we
be a
could
big
get
show.
I'll
get you
actually be
some-
working the booth there, so
Oh,
I
you
don't
will?
know if I
Yeah,
can.
that's true.
For
That's
who?
true.
For Ideal Shape.
Well,
She's
that would be even better promotion for them is to say they have a fighter on that
That's
than
true.
working the booth. Anybody, you can get pretty much anybody to
If
work
you
the
can
booth.
find me an opponent, I'm sure we could work something out. But
Well, there you go. There's
Soft
something
commitment,
for you to
right?
work on.
We
There
already
you go.
talked to Jason roughly, tentatively about it a while ago. And that was
About Kaytlin.
posturing, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Now you're on the spot.
Okay, so there's been obviously there's been a lot of drama as far as the pit has new ownership, and now I don't know if anybody knows for sure or not what the near term future is. I know some things, but I'm not positive. But what made you decide to go with Jason, which I would have done because Jason is he's my original sensei, my original master, and I someday want to get a black belt in his 4-7 combat jiu-jitsu. What made you decide that was where you wanted to continue your training as opposed to the pit, which is a bigger facility and more established, and go with Jason and Rad?
Jason is one of the best guys I know. I would follow him anywhere. He is like a great coach. He really cares about the fighters. He studies things. He knows what he's talking about, and he's like a genius about fighting. And also, when he corners you, he's like the perfect corner. He stays calm. He tells you exactly what you need to do. If you're in a tough situation, he tells you exactly what you need to do, not just think about what you're doing or fight out of it or something or be aggressive. Like, he tells you, okay, 1, 2, soft
Specific
right,
instructions.
and take down. Yeah. So it's a lot different having him corner you.
Well, that's cool. I totally agree with you about Jason. I think he is the most underestimated MMA trainer around. I mean, just because he has played a huge part in so many guys that have made it to the UFC and actually done well in the UFC, and he's been their coach. I mean, we're talking a lot of people have, had Jason as a trainer, anyone from Josh Berkman to, Court McGee to, all sorts of big name guys have worked with Jason. So, we obviously have seen that, Ronda Rousey has become probably the most recognizable name in all of mixed martial arts, which is a totally male-dominated sport, and it still is predominantly males that compete in mixed martial arts. And you yourself admit that when you train, you're training mostly with men. So, who's your favorite fighter? Or first of all, what do you think of Ronda Rousey? Be honest.
On the spot.
Be honest.
I hope she never sees this, but I think she's a great fighter, but as a person, I don't really like her.
Okay, so what is it that you don't like about her?
Her attitude, her spunk, I don't know. She just feels like she always has to be like defensive or like, I'm the best or what. I don't know. She's just not my.
So,
Like
do you
your
think
sister.
that is it too cocky, or that she's too vulgar, or what is it about her that you don't like? I mean, do you like Conor McGregor?
Yeah, I do like Conor
Okay,
McGregor.
well, Conor McGregor is a lot like Ronda Rousey, but he's a boy. So what's the difference, and what makes you like Conor McGregor but not like Ronda Rousey?
Conor McGregor calls out what he's going to do and then he does it. So I think that's awesome. And I don't know, he's more doing it to be funny. Ronda Rousey seems like she's doing it because that's her weird personality, or she's like defensive.
Yeah. She does seem to have a chip on her shoulder, that's for sure. So who's your favorite female fighter?
My favorite female fighter is probably Miesha Tate.
Miesha Tate?
Really?
Yeah.
So
Have you met her? I mean, I know Brian Caraway's been around the gym and trained and stuff. Have you ever met Miesha?
So, funny story. For my first fight down in Vegas, or in Mesquite at Tough Enough, I was fighting her teammate, and I didn't know it was her teammate at the time. And so she was there, and she was going to give out the belt to whoever won. And some of my friends went down there, and they were like, "Hey, the girl that's fighting in the main event loves you, and she wants to meet you afterward." And Misha's like, "Oh shoot, she's fighting my teammate. I'm gonna have to root against her." And so,
right, that's not going to happen.
so that's kind of a bummer. So I've never actually met her, so I lost that fight, so I didn't want to go meet her afterwards.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, were you?
You're like, I lost just so I could
standing?
meet you and we could be cool.
Yeah, I was out of that cage as quick as I could get.
Oh, yeah?
So I don't know. I've seen her in person, but I've never actually met her. And I've also saw her down at the MMA draft. There was like an after party, and I saw her there, and I was too struck to actually go and talk to her. But I was like inches away, and I was like, I want to say something, but I'm not going to. And so I just kind of walked off.
Well, what makes you like Miesha Tate so much? I mean, I think she's cool. I like her, but what do you like about her that makes her your favorite fighter?
She can take a punch and keep going. Like, there's so many fights where I thought that she was going to get, like, knocked out, or, like, she got totally handled, and then she just came back and killed it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I like how gritty she is, and her style is obviously more like mine because Ronda's so dominant, and I don't do judo.
Yeah. So Ronda, I mean, she really depends on judo and specifically the armbar from judo. And Miesha Tate, I mean, I've always thought Miesha Tate had a more well-rounded game. Just she's managed to get caught. I mean, the second time she fought, she did a lot better, lasted a lot longer. And the first time, I mean, she was willing to let her arm just get destroyed and snapped in half. That was disgusting. But yeah, she definitely has a more well-rounded game. I think she throws more natural punches. But what makes you like someone like Miesha better than like Holly Holm? I mean, Holly Holm destroyed Ronda Rousey, and she's like a sweet, nice lady. I mean, what do you think about Holly Holm?
I actually really love Holly Holm. She's awesome. She's a perfect role model. She's like what a champion should be.
Yeah.
But Miesha is like one of the first girl fighters that I really like knew, so she's kind of just stuck there in my heart.
Yeah.
So is that your goal, obviously, is to go to the UFC?
Yeah.
So what's your path? I mean, kind of go to Invicta, win in Invicta, and then is that kind of the route is then to get picked up by the UFC? Is that kind of what you envision happening?
Yeah, and I would also love to be on one of the episodes of The Ultimate Fighter if they ever bring up a weight class that I'm close to. I'll try to do that.
You know, the girls are going to be on the next one. What weight is the next one?
The next one's 135. I'm not professional yet, so I can't jump on there.
Dang. Oh, yeah. So because the next one is your weight, right?
Yep.
And that's going to be Joanna and Claudia Godella are going to be the coaches. Mm-hmm. And it's girls 135 and then boys heavyweight.
I'm not sure.
You know, there's two weights. I think there's there's not a girls heavyweight, so it must be boys. Well, that's well, wow, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool goals.
So one of the things that I think is smart about you is it seems like you're very aware of marketing yourself and very aware of like the fact that, and this is something that I personally think a lot of fighters are terrible at, is marketing themselves, social media, branding, and you are light years better at that with Facebook and Instagram and your career in your job. Are you aware of that? Is that something that you're trying to do like purposefully, or do you realize that?
Yeah, at first I was just trying to get as most followers as I could just to be cool, but now I'm like purposely trying to do it to promote all of the Ideal Shape products and my fighting and just grow from there.
Yeah, I mean, because I think that as a promoter, and as you get bigger, I mean, obviously, you know, you're marketable. You'll be able to help sell the fights. The bigger following you have, the more you're going to get paid. The more sponsors are going to want to work with you, and it's something that, I mean, I see a lot of UFC fighters, and I'm like, oh, really? That's your Facebook or your Instagram? No wonder your sponsor is the local tire shop. You know,
yeah. They're still getting paid 4 or 6 and 6.
How have you noticed, or like, what things do you do? Because I think one of the cool things you also have is the name Katniss. Obviously, you kind of hitched your wagon to the Hunger Games trail, but how did you have that nickname before, or was it based off of obviously the Hunger Games? How did you apply that to yourself?
So that's another funny story. When I was down in St. George, I had like this group of friends, and there was this guy, and he's like, Kaytlin, I'm reading some books, and the girl's name is Katniss, and it reminds me of you every single time I'm reading it. So he started calling me Katniss, and the whole group started calling me Katniss or Catnip. And then the movies came out, and I looked like her, and Josh Berkman's like, hey, you look like Katniss. And I was like, yeah. I was like, I think that's going to be my fight name. He's like, that's a good choice. And so that's
cool.
kind of how it came about.
That is cool. I mean, it's a great nickname. And I mean, the Hunger Games are huge. Jennifer Lawrence is huge. I mean, that's cool. Well, what do you think? I mean, because this is also another big thing between men's and women's fighting. What do you think about, what are your thoughts about the double standard on physical appearance and popularity? I mean, it seems like women, like for example, one of the most dominant women is a girl named Cyborg, and she's not your traditionally attractive person, and so she isn't near as in demand or doesn't get paid near as much as the more attractive fighters, like Misha Tate, Paige Van Zandt, and some of those other girls. So how do you personally feel about playing up your femininity or making sure that you look a certain way so that you know that you're marketable, as opposed to just focusing on fighting the way maybe guys need to do?
I've actually noticed that from the very beginning, and I just rode with it. I am going to take what God gave me and just go with it. Like, I don't know. I will use my looks to my advantage if I want to. I've gotten, like, plenty of sponsors from it. Like, even for my first fight, I was like, hey, I'm going to fight. And they're like, oh, she's a cute girl.
Yeah.
We'll stick a shirt on her or whatever.
Yeah.
So.
Well, for sure but do you think do you like or dislike that it's an advantage for a girl to be attractive compared to a boy? It isn't really that big a deal what they look like. If they're really good, I mean, because Conor McGregor, he's the number one male fighter as far as income, hands down. Mm-hmm. And, he's stylish, but he wouldn't be what you'd consider like your traditionally attractive dude. I mean, he's only 145 pounds. I mean, he's not like this, big traditional macho
everybody's
dude.
jacked. They're all ripped.
Yeah, they're all ripped. So, like, what do you think about the fact that there is a double standard? Even though you've learned and you're going to play that game, what do you actually think about it? What's your opinion of it?
I don't know. There's some good-looking fighters out there, and I feel like they got popular because they're good-looking. Like, all of Team Alpha Male is they're pretty good-looking,
short, handsome guys.
Really?
Yeah.
But so why do you think?
Who's the best-looking fighter?
Who's the handsomest fighter? Who do you think is the best-looking guy in the UFC?
I'm gonna get in trouble for saying this, but I think Cody. I don't even know how to say his last name. No Love.
Cody No Love McKenzie.
Doesn't he have the tattoo on his neck right here? Yeah. He's handsome. He's a little guy, but he's handsome.
He's probably as big as I am, but I don't know. I think
Isn't that the guy that was Paige Van Zandt's boyfriend?
Yes.
Yeah,
he's like tatted all.
He's got like
the
crown neck, kind of like Conor.
Yeah,
but he's alpha male.
But he's more tatted than Conor. I mean, he's like
he's a style. He's kind of like that modern stylish, kind of like tatted.
He's like a tatted hipster, with a perfectly
pompadour.
He's like
the gentleman's haircut. Yeah,
super tatted, but then he has like a really pretty face.
Yeah. Well, so is he? But doesn't Paige Van Zandt? Are they broken up, or are you moving in on that, or what's going on?
I follow Paige's Snapchat, so I think they're broken up.
Oh, really?
I think that only lasted like a couple weeks.
So here's this is like what I think about good-looking girls being fighters is that a lot of times it's kind of like, I think people like it not necessarily because they're good looking, but because it's a weird, not weird, but it's contrary to what you would think, right? You would expect a pretty girl to be sometimes maybe more of like a DNB, as Ronda Rousey would say, and maybe be more reliant on...
And that's a do-nothing bleep.
Yeah.
For anyone that doesn't know.
Yeah.
Rather
than like, oh, you're a pretty girl, why would you want to get maybe punched in the face and possibly get cauliflower ear and swollen nose and stuff like that? So I think it's that contrary idea of like what you think that somebody would do. And I even think that about good-looking dudes. You know, I think they have obviously they're more marketable and have more of an advantage, and probably make more money as well, not to the extent of a woman, but I do think that, you know, if you're a sponsor, you're going to want to hire a handsome guy like Chris Weidman, maybe less handsome, less successful dude, right? I mean,
who's less handsome, Mike?
Well, I was trying to think of a successful non-handsome champion. I'm thinking about who the champions are right now. I'm like, oh, they're pretty decent looking guys, you know?
I think they're totally handsome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, realistically though, they kind of are. I mean,
I think Rafael dos Anjos.
He's probably the ugliest.
Frankenstein looking dude.
Yeah, he's for sure.
And his numbers maybe show that, since he's had the lowest viewers of any champion fight in the history of the UFC.
Yeah, that's interesting. Huh. You know, girls like
George St. Pierre. I guess girls are just as shallow as boys. Yeah. Girls only want to watch handsome champions.
One of my buddies used to come over, and he would FaceTime the George St. Pierre fights to his wife at home, just so she could watch him roll around in his George St. Pierre shorts.
His white skin tight.
And I'm like,
you shorts.
Getting your wife revved up, huh?
Oh, jeez, dude. Well, so when you fight, everybody gets nervous to fight. I mean, there's maybe one or two people that I've heard of that don't actually feel nervous, but, you know, I think Chuck Liddell said you're either nervous or you're insane if you don't, you know, get nervous before your fight. So before your fight, do you get nervous?
Oh, yeah.
When is the time that you're most nervous?
Right when they're like, "Okay, Kaytlin, it's your turn to walk out." One time I started crying. And
really?
Jason, that was his first time ever cornering me. I normally had Brock and Arnold, but Jason knew. I think he's sort of getting used to cornering girls because Dee was one of his first girls.
And he just recently had Deanna, and she actually fought for a title in Invicta just last weekend. Yeah. So she's really good. Yeah. So anyway, so you started crying.
So I started crying, and he walks up to me. He walks up to me, and he's like, "Kaytlin, it's okay." He's like, "Win, lose, or draw, we're still going to be behind you." And I was like, okay. And then I stopped crying, and then we went out.
Okay. Well, that's interesting, but were you scared? Like, because a lot of people just don't, like boys and girls, don't understand the concept of wanting to get in a cage and fight. Mm-hmm. And, you know, and you've done it voluntarily up to this point. Mm-hmm. So are you mostly scared of getting hurt, or are you mostly scared of losing? What's the fear that if you could try to think about what is the thing you're most nervous about, what is it?
So that was before a showdown fight, and I hadn't lost before. And the girl that I was fighting knocked out her first two opponents, so she was undefeated, super good. We're both undefeated. I was like, I'm going to go out in front of my home crowd, all of Orem, and get knocked out in front of all my friends. This is going to be so embarrassing. And so I was nervous about that.
Okay. Have you been knocked out yet in one of your fights?
No.
I think that's like, because I've been toying with, if I can get back to the gym, I would like, it's like my bucket list thing.
Yeah.
But that's the thing that I think is the most scary, is the thought of having like a bad performance in front of people you care about. You know what I mean? Not even the physical. I mean, when you fought, what were you? You were probably more nervous about looking bad in front of your family than.
Yeah, I've always feared losing way more than I have been excited about winning.
Yeah.
I don't have, like, for some reason, I mean, because this is my opinion, and I've talked about it a lot, MMA isn't near as dangerous as football. I mean, there's only so much a guy can do, and they can knock me out. I mean, so far, nobody in the UFC's died, and the only deaths in MMA, which has only, I think, been 2, have been from previously existing conditions where they had something wrong with their brain before they started fighting. But
or negligence, bad care or something like that.
Yeah, there really isn't near the danger of having something really bad happen that people think, but it still is scary. But do you feel fear of getting punched? Do you feel fear of fighting? Or, I mean, does that fear even really enter into your mind?
No, I'm not really scared to get injured. I figure my body will heal or I'll get surgery or something will happen. I'm not scared about that. It's more of just performance.
So what's the worst injury you've had?
Probably when I dislocated my shoulder in 2 fights ago.
You did it
during the fight?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I was punching. I had her backing up against the cage and I punched my shoulder out. And it was kind of like a weird thing. I was like, why isn't my arm moving? And I slowly looked down, it's like dangling. And I'm like,
you could
okay.
see like your AC joint just like totally.
Did Jason pop it back
out?
in, Nick?
No,
just popped it back in.
Did they call the fight right then?
I started backing up because I was freaking out because my shoulder wasn't working. And then she kind of capitalized on that and I went up against the cage. And then my shoulder popped back in and then they just called the fight.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was kind of a bummer.
Well, that's nasty. I think a lot of people didn't notice that Meathead, oh dude, Mitrione's shoulder was totally jacked. I mean, it was sticking out, and I was like, oh freak! I mean, everyone was looking at his eye, but I was more grossed out by his collarbone sticking out. But
dude, that guy.
So how often are you able to train right now? Because you're a full-time personal trainer at Ideal Fit, which
Ideal
is
Shape.
in American Ideal. Ideal
Shape?
It's 2 companies. One's Ideal Shape and one's Ideal Fit. They're the same people.
Okay, so Ideal Shape is the personal training side of it.
They both have personal trainers. It's just Ideal Fit is a fitness supplement, and Ideal Shape is a weight loss supplement line.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
Okay, and so you do personal training online where you're counseling people all day on their fitness goals, right?
Yep.
Okay, and so how often do you have a chance to train right now?
Ideal Shape is awesome. They understand that I'm a fighter, so they're like, okay, just come in when you can and work online or work at home online when you can. So as long as I get my 40 hours in and I'm doing what I need to get done, and they're fine with it.
That's great. Well,
awesome.
I mean, you're a huge ambassador for them. I mean, I see you so often, and you know that Lindsay. What does she do for them?
She is the head trainer there, so I'm one of her.
Oh, she's the head trainer.
Yeah.
You know, she was the lifeguard at the pool that I went to every day in the summer.
Did you try to Lindsay Prefer Corner or Wendy Prefer Corner?
What?
Dude, the Sandlot, man.
Yeah.
Or you fake like
I was a grown man. I had kids, bro. Maybe Gunnar or Cooper tried.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
The Lindsay Prefer Corner.
Dude, you know what? This is a little trivia fact. I actually auditioned and I almost got the part of the
kid that got to make out with a lifeguard?
No, the baseball kid that he's like, you eat pieces of crap for breakfast and you like it. It was between me and that kid, and he was better looking, I guess.
Yeah, she was a lifeguard at the Helaman Halls pool, and we went there literally like it was like almost every day in the summer. That was a long time ago, and she's really done. I mean, obviously, she's really changed her physique, and so do you spend more time focusing on your nutrition or on your training?
More on my training. I'm lucky I can get away with eating a lot more than normal girls can, but I also really try to eat healthy. So.
Yeah. Okay, so I mean, I saw you made a post about this, and so that's why I feel comfortable bringing it up. But you fight at 135, and you used to weigh around 155 just normally, and you would cut all the way down to 135, and so now you just walk around at like 145.
Yeah, in between 140 and 145.
Really? So even 140 and 145. Do you ever consider cutting to 125?
I actually have. If the UFC will put a 125 division in there, my name's going on it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Well, that's cool. Mike, I mean, can you think of like anything specific that you want to ask her?
No, I mean, I think a lot of girls and women, you're probably in a unique situation where they're looking up to you, as far as like whether you realize it or not, and the fact that you're going to get more and more popular on social media, get more of a following and stuff. What would you say to anybody or any of the girls that are like looking up or maybe think, oh, well, it's cool that girl can be a fighter. Maybe I can do this or do that because it's counter to what everybody would expect from me.
Yeah, totally. Nobody really pictured me as a fighter. I had no idea what fighting even was. I just walked in the gym, worked hard, tried to be a good person, and I believed in myself and I did it, so.
Well, so do you, now that you've been doing this for 4 years, is it something that you enjoy more, less, the same? How do you feel about the actual training? As far as your attitude towards the training?
Honestly, over the past year when we were at the pit, still at the very tail end of it, I started like dreading it. I was hating it. But then after I injured my shoulder, took 6 months off, went back to 4-7, kind of like a fresh plate. I love going. Like, that's what I look forward to every day, is my training, is my release. I can go there and have fun. What
do you like about, the new facility, where Jason is the man there, and then Rad is also really does a lot of stuff there, and Rad's a great guy. Jason's one of my favorite guys. What is it that they do that makes it so that you actually enjoy the training?
I'm not being little sistered anymore. I'm getting more attention towards me since it's a smaller team. And Jason appreciated us like following him there, so he's giving us more attention, more, and I can just go for it.
That's awesome. Do you spend most of your time training stand-up or your ground game?
Right now I'm training more stand-up, but...
what are your strengths, do you feel like, and what are your weaknesses?
I feel like my weaknesses is wrestling. I couldn't train it a whole lot because my shoulder, and the chiropractor I was working with didn't want me to jam it out or like pop it out again. Yeah. And so that's probably my weakness. I love stand-up, and I feel like I'm equally good on the ground as I am standing up.
But doesn't that make Rad ticked that you're not really into being a great wrestler? Because that guy could take down a grizzly bear.
Oh, yeah.
He's probably the greatest. He's probably the best wrestling takedown guy for MMA that I've ever seen. He actually was above Frankie Edgar in college. Frankie Edgar was second string wrestler behind Rad Martinez. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, now you do. And he is an amazing wrestler and was an amazing takedown guy in MMA. And so does he get on you and say, Kaytlin, we got to work on your takedowns, we got to work on your takedown defense? What's his attitude?
He works with me when I go in. I don't know. He's really good at taking me down and making me work getting up.
This is how you do it.
He's like, just shoves me on the ground and then makes me like work with all my muscles, like trying to pull up. Yeah. He's a good coach. He's a great coach. When they go, he's really all.
Yeah, if you can get good against Rad, you'll be able to get
if
up.
You can even if you can even sort of slow Rad down, taking you down, then that's a huge accomplishment. Because I remember there was a great in fact he was the number one heavyweight in the state, and Rad fought at 145 and 155, and he would train. They all trained together on the throwdown fight team back when it was still that. And Rad would take him down at will and then just beat the crap out of him. And the dude finally just said, screw this, threw his gloves off, and never came back to the gym again. And that was it. Rad retired him from training at Throwdown Elite Training Center because Rad just kept abusing him, taking him down, beating up on him. Getting Rad off of you is like getting off like 10 Wolverines at the same time. It's brutal. That guy's intense. Well, so what's, we've been, almost 40 minutes now. It's so interesting to talk to you because, you are such a unique person to be from such a conservative background and do something that's so non-traditional. What is the message that when you're talking to the average person, because no matter what, like when you're working with ideal fit and ideal shape, most of these people don't want anything to do with fighting. So what is it that you try to convey to your clients that you think is the most helpful?
If you want to do something, then do it. Just got to believe in yourself and work hard. You can do it. So just work hard, believe in yourself. So you really, are you, like Conor McGregor in the way that, he projects
his feelings of self-confidence and his visions that he has of success. And if you envision that, then you think that you're able to make those things happen.
I honestly think that you can do
so
that.
what do you honestly picture in your head? What do you picture in your head 5 years from now?
5 years from now. Oh, great. This is big.
Say it.
I'm hoping Invicta title or just getting into the UFC.
Okay.
What I'm hoping for.
That's pretty awesome.
That's
cool. Well, Kaytlin, I've really enjoyed talking to you. It's been something that we've wanted to do, and I'm glad you could take time off work to come in and talk to us. We, really enjoy watching you fight. I just finished watching your fight again, and you just barely had a win in Steel Fist. Was it 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and that was awesome. So hopefully we can get you on our show at FitCon. That would be cool. And Mike, do you have any last things?
No, same as you. We've been kind of not super active with you, but we just notice everything and notice the great improvements you're making, and all the cool things you're doing on social media and to market yourself, and just really feel like you're kind of on the up and up, and anything we can do to help you out or be a part of it, we're more than happy. So
All right.
Awesome.
Thanks
for coming in. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Kaytlin.
All right. Good stuff, Kaytlin. That was awesome. I really liked that. That was entertaining.